they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Hey, please don't play no games with me. I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart. We always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat in submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk, I just show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling, they already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play so. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, salute. Sorry, guys, I am running a little late this morning. Salute to everybody in the building. What's good? Peace. One more game. Peace and hair grease and all that good stuff. How's everybody doing today, man? Yeah, man, just sorry. A lot of personal stuff moving around in the life, man, and I'm running late, chasing myself around, but, you know, I want to be consistent here. Yeah, what's good with you guys? Hit the like button as you're stepping in the building. Subscribe to the channel, of course, man. A lot to talk about today. The news in the space is doing what they're doing, right? Turkey is Dana White, Turkey, Al-Sheikh, TKO, I mean, Zuffa boxing, all these topics that are currently trending in the space right now. How crazy it is, right? A literal world war in boxing at this point here in the stateside with American boxing, and now it's bled into what's going on in the UK side is with the new acquisition of Conor Benn, right, guys? The acquisition to Conor Benn to Zuffa boxing. Obviously, we know that. Well, not only say obviously, if you guys aren't aware, Dana White is campaigning right now or petitioning right now in the UK for licensing with certain things with licensing, and obviously working out a network deal potentially with Sky Sports, which is basically like the ESPN of the UK. That's the closest thing I can compare it to. Please feel free to communicate in the chat if it's a better comparison. But he's trying to campaign out there right now to get some licensing permission to do something he wants to do out there, right? We don't have all of the particulars, and we're not going to dive into it that deep. But more importantly, Frank Warren earlier this week it lets it leak out, or somebody leaks it out, that Frank Warren right now is in a current lawsuit with Zuffa boxing, I can't even think of the name right now, but with Turkey Al Sheikh's financing group that's helping finance the situation. And he's suing them for about $1 billion, right? And he's talking about disputes on rights agreements to how they would roll out in the UK and how Frank Warren's position was going to be, how he was going to be involved in it, what restrictions were there, what promises were made to him, and how clearly the way Dana White is approaching the situation after acquiring Conor Ben, that it's it's violating agreements, right? And he feels this is worth $1 billion. He's saying that in a time period that it was agreed upon that they would do business, they were looking to make in the area of $1 billion. Very complicated, right? Literal world war, as Dana White and Zuffa Boxing are on a mission to make their name the biggest name in the world at this point, not just in America, and boxing. And it adds to what we've been talking about on this show. It adds certain context to what's going on, to what Dana and them is doing, because as we're talking about the innovation happening here stateside with Zuffa Boxing, I mean, ruffling feathers may be an understatement. We've seen Oscar De La Hoya campaign in his own way with his Clapback Thursdays. We've seen Eddie Hearn clap back in his own way, and how Dana White's responded by taking Eddie Hearn's biggest fighter potentially on his roster outside of Anthony Joshua, was clearly on his last days in the sport, if he's not already officially retired. And now we see the resistance from Frank Warren in Queensberry, who's not going down without a fight. Doesn't want Zuffa over there moving freely, wants to be involved, wants to make sure that Queensberry is properly positioned to take advantage of anything boxing going on in the UK, right? How did Frank White say it? If a nickel bag gets sold in the park, I want in. And clearly Dana White and Turkey Al Sheikh have other thoughts about it, right? They're going to do what they feel like doing, what they want to do, and they're not answering to nobody or checking in with anybody, right? We don't check in. Shout out to the checking gang, but we don't check in on this side. We do what we want to do. And Frank Warren disagrees. So what does that mean? On the back of that, we have an announcement of Conor Ben and Regis Prograis meeting up in April. This will be Conor Ben's first fight. This will be on a Netflix undercard of Tyson Fury and Makhmudov. And I'm not sure. I don't think this one has anything to do with, I don't think this is the super fight. We'll talk about that. I don't think this is the fight that Zuffa Boxing is coordinating. I don't know that Zuffa, this is not like underneath that $15 million deal that Conor Ben signed. I don't think. We'll talk about that as well. And that's just a fresh news. Of course, we've got the news building still on the back end of the momentum of Ryan Garcia's victory over Mario Barrios. And also, we're about 3 or 4 weeks outside of Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson doing what they did, and how Shakur performed. And obviously, both these guys have built up some legitimate momentum behind them. Ryan Garcia is being one of the most impactful moves in a long time. The boxing space super excited that he was able to deliver on a dominating performance against Mario Barrios. He has such a following. He's automatically become a huge payday for any fighter that gets in the ring with him, or maybe specifically certain fighters, the Devin Haney's, the Shakur Stevensons, the Conor Benns, maybe the Rolly Romeros, the right fights, right? Because I think we might all be able to agree that there are really not too many A-side, B-side conversations going on. There's more about the biggest fights being made and how much the biggest fights are worth to the space, right? And Ryan Garcia just happens to be somebody who's in the conversation with some of the biggest fights that can be made right now, maybe like in at least 2 or 3 of the conversations. So we'll talk about that, because Ryan Garcia has come out on the Twitter space, or Instagram, I want to say the Twitter space, and communicated that he already had communicated he was willing to fight Shakur Stevenson, right? That was a fact. But he added something to it that made it even more, a little bit more interesting. He said, listen, he says, F the catch weight. Let's just fight for your belt. I'm coming down to 140. And Shakur Stevenson clearly is not going to have any arguments with that. He's loving it. But I guess the question in the space right now is going to be, can he even make that weight? Is even realistic? Is Ryan Garcia blowing smoke? Is that even realistic? Are you going to make it? You couldn't make it when you fought against Devin Haney. You came in 143 and change. You said you did everything you could, and you just outgrew the weight class and couldn't make the weight no more. But we saw you this weekend in great shape, slim, focus, and we were all excited to see that because we knew the possibilities on the back end of that was some of the biggest fights getting made, which we weren't too sure about when it came to Ryan Garcia, right? But now he's added something else to it. He's stirring the pot a little bit. And is he trolling or is he serious? And if he is serious, what does that mean, right? Not only what does that mean for a fight between him and Shakur Stevenson, but also another connecting piece to this is what does that mean between him and Devin Haney, the actual fight that the space is clamoring for, the sequel to the first fight where we saw Devin Haney somewhat be exposed, according to a lot of people who will tell you he was exposed. He got hit with shots he didn't see coming. He got knocked down multiple times in the fight, and with no argument, Ryan Garcia won that fight. But then there was the tainting of the whole entire victory with the PED accusations and the findings, not even accusations, right? The findings in his system that he was actually under, steroids, right? He was underneath performance enhancement drugs, and we all know how that ended up. The win got taken away, the win got taken away from Ryan Garcia. The loss got taken away from Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia was suspended for a year. We don't need to get into that, right? So this sequel, more importantly, has so much legs to it. Everybody wants to see this huge fight, but Ryan Garcia made it clear after he won the fight that he had options. And I think that was fair to say. And he's being accurate, right? And one of those options was Shakur Stevenson. This is what he talked about being something he was very interested in. And he's continuing to have this back and forth, open conversation. Maybe a negotiation even, if you guys want to look at it, maybe the first steps in a negotiation, as him and Shakur Stevenson have been going back and forth on the social media space. And the latest is Ryan Garcia, as I said earlier, interested in going down to 140 and challenging Shakur Stevenson for that Ring Magazine belt, for that WBO title. And that adds interest and intrigue on the back end of that, right? Guys, go ahead. By the way, 40-something people in the building. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it. We're going to have a great conversation today. My co-host was ready, but I don't see him. I don't know. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he had to reset some things. So he'll be in. He's in here now. So that being said, right? Let me see here. As it looks like he's here. I think he is here, guys. So without you guys, some of y'all love to hate him. Some of y'all hate that you love him. But at the end of the day, my guy, Angelo Reyes in the building. The truth teller, Angelo Reyes, man. We've built a dynamic between us in front of the world, and the dynamic is algorithm shaking at times. I like to say we've been aging like wine as of late. Everybody's coming to see things come full circle as they're coming together, and that might make him hate us even more. Or maybe there's some love out there. Maybe they're starting to acknowledge and be like, these guys know what they're talking about. Or maybe it's even the vitriol, you know what I'm saying, angle is even more compounded now, right? Maybe it's even worse. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, how are you doing today? What's good with you, family?
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I apologize if I've been having this computer issue right now where it keeps pausing and unpausing. Right. So tell me if you can hear me. If you can't hear me right now, I'm gonna try to get through this, and hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. Yeah, man, as you know, living the transplant life, all these doctor's appointments and blood works and whatnot.
Right.
But this boxing space, man. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you hear about Netflix, Conor Ben, on the Tyson Fury card. It's free to access for everybody who has Netflix. Netflix costs you about $8. So there's a definite war that's happening. And I know we're going to touch on that. If you guys haven't checked out our Read the Ring series, we dropped another one yesterday. Please check that out. I think you'll find it very interesting. It's only about 25 minutes. But we're talking about this ongoing process that is happening and literally boxing changing right in front of our eyes. But to comment on what you were saying, I think what people have come to realize, Claymore, especially the ones that really don't want to admit it, is that they actually hate the fact that they love us because we have been right. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Like all we were trying to do was not try to spin you some weird narrative or give you a pretend situation. We were trying to tell you that the tea leaves were blowing a certain way, right? That everything was kind of going a certain direction. And you were either going to get on board with this direction or you're not, right? Like that's how it works. That's how it is. So, I know we're going to be talking about Ryan Garcia. There's going to be there's tea leaves going over that, but just right off the bat, what was your initial thoughts on when you saw Netflix April 11th, Tyson Fury, Conor Ben? Free. I mean, it's free, dude. I mean, you know what I mean.
I saw a plan, and that's what I see. I see steps being taken, pieces being moved on the board. This is an interesting extra thing that's been added to the boxing space. The fight between the fighters in the ring is what we're here for, right, Angelo? We love that part of the game. But there's this other part of the game, which is the fight between the promoters, between the networks almost at times, but really between the promoters. And it's always been there. We've always known Eddie Hearn to go against Frank Warren, Al Heyman to go against Oscar De La Hoya. Bob Arum competes with Eddie Hearn at times. And across the board, we've always knew about the across the street politics. We also knew about how it can get. But at the same time, it's become way more interesting with the addition of Dana White into the conversation, because Dana brings a certain level to the competition, an intensity, an intention that is undeniable. Because the one thing Dana brings to the table that's different than all the other guys is he backs it up with a lot of action. When he gets active, it shakes his space up. When he puts you in the crosshairs of his guns, it's be ready. And I think the whole space is realizing and learning this, right? They're realizing that how much business this man meets. So Conor Ben being acquired by Zuffa Boxing, and by the way, you'll shed light on it to how you see it, or what you may know that I'm not aware of now, because I am out the loop a little bit. I've been kind of tied up in some personal things, that. But I don't think Dana is involved with this particular event. I don't know what his capacity.
Oh, he's involved 100%.
Okay, well, that's what I'm about to say, right? I don't know. I should have worded it better and said I don't know his involvement in this particular move made on this undercard. And I'm not too sure how much of this is covered underneath the $15 million deal that was put out there. But I'll land my plane here and give it to you and just say your question. The simple answer is I see pieces being moved on a chessboard. And
again, guys, please check out our Read the Ring series. We're on episode 2 now. We've been getting a lot of feedback about episode 1. Episode 2 makes it a little bit more clear, and we're going to speak on to some more on episode 3. That's going to be popping off to you guys here either later on tonight or maybe tomorrow afternoon. But I'll give you a little brief summation of what we'll actually discuss on Read the Ring episode 3. So if you're reading the ring, what you're going to find out is that the Tyson Fury Conor Ben co-feature on Netflix is exactly the same as Crawford Canelo, which means Dana White's involved. Frank Warren is not. Frank Warren may have a contract with Tyson Fury, like how some other fighters may have had a contract with people going into the ring that night, right? Whether it was Christian Mbili or whoever. But at the end of the day, this is going to be TKO, Sella in charge of a ring card. The tea leaves are blowing that there'll probably be an announcement as they're filling out the card more and more. There'll probably be an announcement that basically states this is, again, another Zuffa Boxing Promotions. Dana White's involved, just like Canelo Crawford. And
like a cross promotion, maybe, like not Zuffa.
I mean, not even a cross promotion, because, and again, I don't want to give away too much of what we'll discuss on Read the Ring.
I definitely have questions as far as, because I want to know how does. I'm looking more, and I know we'll talk about it later, but I'm just
we will
Paramount's position.
And that's the thing too, right? It's exactly that. We'll discuss that too. But at the end of the day, Paramount's position never changed when they did do Canelo Crawford, right? Just like the WWE's
Were they involved in
position.
that?
Yeah, no. It's not so much that, but remember that when we break it all down, contracts for Zuffa was already being done in 2025.
Right.
And even so, you see what I'm saying? It's like everybody knows everyone. And the best example I can explain it to you is the WWE is on ESPN, but it is also on Netflix, Claymore.
Facts.
So
Facts.
it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it's just like the NFL. And this is what our
right
was
they're on multiple different networks as well.
Yes. So if you guys have not checked out our episode 2 of Read the Ring, we basically, please go to the channel, go to the video. It's 25 minutes of your life. You'll really enjoy what we're breaking down, but we're basically telling you that boxing is headed to the level of NFL, NBA.
100%.
Right. And now,
just to interject and say this while you're saying that, to say that that's what this is about, right? And you've always had a pretty good grasp on this, but I think at times we don't really understand the magnitude of what that comes with, right? The freedom and the flexibility that's actually there in comparison to what this space has been accustomed to when it comes to this conversation. For example, and I'll give it right back to you right now, the Zone, Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearns, their limitations when it comes to cross promoting and what that looks like and what their fighters can or can't do. Vice versa, in comparison on the opposite side of the spectrum, the freedom and the flexibility that clearly Dana White, Zuffa Boxing have with the way their deal is structured.
Exactly. No, and that's again, guys, I can't repeat it enough to check out episode 2 of Read the Ring. But essentially, what me and Claymore are trying to explain to you guys is that don't look at Zuffa Boxing as its competition being Matchroom or Queensberry or any of that, because that's not even their lane. What Zuffa Boxing, and more importantly, what Sella and The Ring magazine have been doing is they're trying to get closer to what the NFL does. And if you think about what the NFL does, the NFL's on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, it's on ESPN, it's on CBS, because it's an entity that all of these television rights deals want. They want the content. And we're in a good space as boxing fans that boxing is becoming that now. That Netflix doesn't care that it has a 5-year deal with Paramount. They're like, yeah, we want Tyson Fury, and we would also like Conor Benn. Thank you very much. No problem. Right now, again, I don't want to use this show because we got so much to talk about.
Land it.
I'm gonna land the plane and just explain to you guys.
And I'm not gonna ask no questions on the back end. What you about to say? I'm not, because I can, but I don't want to. I know what it's gonna do. So go ahead.
What I'll tell you guys is you're gonna enjoy Read the Ring episode 3, right? And we will explain to you again, like even contractually, why Jaya Pataya isn't necessarily on Netflix, but Conor Benn is, right? And what this means for Devin Haney, what this means for Ryan Garcia later on this year, right? Like we're gonna really break it down. But for today's show, damn it, we got to talk about Ryan Garcia versus Shakur Stevenson at 140
we gotta get
pounds.
to it. And we got and we're gonna try to talk about, we have a great fight card this weekend. We got to talk about all that as well, man. I mean, thank you guys for being patient with us, man. But also, I got we got the other co-hosts in the building, man. Ray Davis in the damn building, man. Ray.
What up?
A grill piece. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
What just happened?
Brother, your face is shaved. It's a weird experience. We're all taking it in right now.
Sorry.
And we're good with it. Not crazy, but
you look fine, man.
You look fine.
I'm not worried about it. This is my
different.
acting role, man. This is when I go to do my acting roles and stuff like that.
Hey, man, listen, man. You do what you got to do. It looks good on you too, by the way. You look handsome, brother. You look handsome, brother.
I gotta let it go back, bro. It's not me, bro. Not me.
What did you do? Be honest. You tried to line up.
No. I really took it off. I was like, you know what? I think it's time for a change. You know what I mean? Spring coming back. So, you know what I mean? I'll let it go back in the spring and whatever.
I'm all for it.
It was just a decision I made last second.
We're here for it, bro. We're here for it. We love it.
Hey, you look great, Ray. You look great.
I look like Angelo now. You know what I mean?
Nah, Angelo, don't do that. Angelo got a little shape up going on. He got the little bit. He got the chin strap. He good money. You're not Angelo right now. Maybe you're competing with Angelo right now on the handsomeness.
Right.
Angelo finally getting some competition.
I can't do that. I cannot do that, bro. I can never do that.
Competition, bro, because God knows I ain't doing this. I ain't carrying nothing.
Listen, man. I can't do that with Angelo. You know that. Listen, he's
Angelo with his handsome, mannish look. He can get all the attention, bro.
Juva's finest,
throwing his hat in the race.
Juva's finest, the most handsome boxers analyst. The greatest of all time behind the scenes. Like,
let's do it. But shout out to Angelo. That being said, though, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's get away from the politics of the sport right now, the World War III politics, and let's talk about the continuing momentum building up behind Ryan Garcia's victory this weekend on the back of him beating Mario Barrios. It was a very impactful fight, important fight in the conversation of American boxing. This on the back end of what Shakur Stevenson did against Teofimo Lopez. The conversation has always been circulating in the space of what that might look like if these guys got in the ring with each other, because Shakur, has expressed he's willing to do that, even though he was really kind of focused on Conor directly after the victory. But he's always expressed the open, the olive branch that he had there. Like, hey, Ryan, if you want this energy, I got the energy for you. And of course, Ryan Garcia on the back end of that fight, you could say the world was his oyster. He could pick, it feels like he can pick anybody he feels like fighting against almost. And he made it clear that his energy was focused more towards the direction of Shakur Stevenson. But the conversation continues to get interesting, right, guys? Because at first it's a catch weight of 144, right? Which was already Ryan conceding his position, because he's a 147 fighter who just became the 147-pound WBC champion, but he wants to make the fight happen. But it gets a little more interesting yesterday, doesn't it, guys? It gets a little more interesting because he gets on the space and he says, man, F the catch weight. Let's do 140. I can make that weight. Let's do it for your title. Let's do it for the Ring Magazine belt. And let's do it for the world. And Shakur, of course, what Shakur, he's very rarely on the opposite side of a good fight, as far as arguing against a good fight. He's always here for the good fight. He's like, what? You talking, brother? You not saying nothing. Say less, gang. Stop saying send over paperwork. Right. And here we are now. So this is the new bit of information we have to process. I think the space is buzzing. People are talking about Ryan is capping. He can't even make 144. Conversations were saying 144 wasn't realistic for him. And he's jumped on top of that, compounded, and said, let's do it at 140. So of course, I'm going to send it over to you guys. Where are we at this point in this conversation? And there's another part to it that we're going to add to it in a little bit. But let's keep it right here with Shakur, and let's keep it with Ryan and Ryan's claim to fame to beat Shakur Stevenson in his own backyard at 140 pounds, challenging for that title. What do you think?
Listen, man, this is the double down to what his dad said weeks ago. I don't want to talk about anything else right now. We're gonna stay here, like you just said. So,
because we're gonna go where you want to go.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah. But listen, so Ryan is showing the abilities to say and do what he wants, right? To try to create this atmosphere of what he wants in the ring. And he wants a Ring Magazine, right? Belt. So what's the better option for him? Go get it from Shakur, right? And I believe this is a test. This is a testament to him feeling how he can make certain things and make things happen and at 140 and prove that he could be a king of multiple divisions, a champion at multiple divisions, which is crazy enough to say, why, right? Why not the catch weight? Why not this? Because honestly, I believe Shakur could have challenged for his belt if they put out a catch weight, because that's still in the division of 147, which is crazy. So I think he's really trying to dial down on him being the GOAT. I was talking to Blaze earlier, and Blaze made a good sense of this. He is the Joker in Batman, whatever it is, Dark Knight, right? He's creating chaos, bro. He is. And I said, Blaze, I agree with you. He is. He's creating all types of chaos throughout the boxing space. And right now, he's picking and choosing what he wants to best benefit his brand. And I'm not mad at him for it. But Shakur is looking at his chops like, yeah, go ahead and make that move, man. This is what we want. And Shakur knows that He's in a good spot right now, especially him talking about 140 instead of 144. This actually makes it better for him because that rehydration may be lessened, as opposed to him being at 143 now talking 144 when he blew up a substantial amount in the ring. So I would like to see it 140. That's great. Evens the odds up.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think?
Yeah. So, again, to our mainstream listeners, right? The guys who are the people who are trying to understand what's going on in the boxing space. And, we at ATP Combat Media, we like talking to you guys because we want to explain to you what's going on. And you don't have to feel bad that you don't follow it as much as the way you're following the NFL. I mean, I literally got the NFL channel on right now because the draft combine's going on. Shout out to my Raiders. We're going to do it this year. We're going to do better this year is what I meant to say. In this boxing space and in this boxing world for so long, let's call it the last decade, the sport has been criticized for not having the best fight the best. The sport has been criticized for, well, it wasn't like it was in the 70s and the 80s when, you had everybody fighting in their peaks, right? And literally from 2023, let's do the date as Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. From 2023, from that point moving forward, globally, the best have been fighting the best. And because that trajectory of best versus best finally came its wave into the United States, in 2026, all we've started with is best American talent versus best American talent. And when we saw Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, that's one of the first examples of everybody going, yeah, the walls are down. And these sanctioning bodies are no longer going to play these dumb games. They're no longer going to be in control. Because what's actually going to be in control now is what the fans want. And Turki Al-Sheikh is a fan. Like him, hate him, call it power, whatever, it doesn't matter. Thank goodness, Turki, that you weren't an MMA fan, because MMA would be even bigger right now if you were that fan, right? So when you hear someone like Sugar Sean O'Malley complain about the fact that he got paid whatever $2 million for 15 minutes, bro, no boxer's getting paid $2 million for 15 minutes. So stop your complaining about the fact that Conor Benn is getting $15 million for a 12-round fight. Because here's the fact. Fact of the matter is Saudi Arabia is a fan of boxing. More importantly, Turki Al-Sheikh, who's in charge of that particular pool of money, is a fan of boxing. And because they're fans of boxing, boxing's net worth is higher than MMA when it comes to the salary caps. That's just how it is. This isn't even like even Mark Shapiro spoke about it this week just to explain to the shareholders, hey, guys, we're not losing $15 million because it wasn't even our $15 million to give up to Conor Benn. Now, I'm laying this out to you guys, the casual fans, the mainstream fans, because right now as we speak, we have 27-year-old Ryan Garcia, 28-year-old Shakur Stevenson, 28-year-old Teofimo Lopez, 28-year-old Devin Haney, 29-year-old Conor Benn. Like, we have all of these amazing fighters all right there in their early peak. Xander Zayas is 23. Abdullah Mason is 21. Keyshawn Davis is 26. These are the best fighting. They're all talking with each other. They're all fighting with each other. They're all doing it. And my
negotiating outside.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Exactly. But my point is Ryan Garcia. So remember how it was, I want to say 4 weeks ago, we did a whole episode on Devin Haney being the money man. And then the Shakur Stevenson fight happens. And then we do an episode on Shakur Stevenson being the money man. And this past weekend, Ryan Garcia wins, and now we're saying Ryan Garcia is the money man. And this is a fun time for us in the boxing world because Ryan could have chosen any direction he wants to go. But I actually think, Ray, the reason why Ryan is sitting there saying, no, bro, I'll just come down to 140 and I'll fight you for your belt, is Ryan is buying into what's going on. He's buying into, yeah, let's do best versus best. Because I just watched Tio get his ass whooped, and it's not hurting his brand at all. I'm hearing through the grapevines, Tio's going to be maybe fighting May or June. for Zuffa. Zuffa. But that's, everybody's seeing it now. So in Ryan's point of view, right? And of course, Mauricio Suleiman has not done a good service to himself explaining why belts matter. But this is another example of, do the sanctioning belts matter? Do they matter? Because Ryan just got the WBC 147. And instead of him talking about defending, instead of him saying, oh, yeah, me and Conor Ben can get it later because Conor wants my belt, he didn't say any of that. He said Shakur. He didn't point to a belt. He said, Shakur, I'd like to fight you, Shakur. And in fact, we've been talking about this back and forth, bro. I get it. Catch weight. Don't even worry about any of that. How about I just come down to 140? Now, what does that mean money-wise, Claymore? It means that Ryan knows the money, based on what he just saw Conor Ben get, is coming from Sella, right? Sella's head guy or face is Turki Ali Sheikh. Turki Ali Sheikh owns the Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine belts is the money. So if I want to make the most money, let me go get Shakur's Ring Magazine belt. And honestly, I know we'll do a breakdown on if it does happen, what will happen. But based on what I've seen, and I know you and I have had this conversation, Clay, I think Ryan could give a good show, sir. A good run for his money.
Yeah.
I'll certainly say Shakur will need to be on his A game in order to beat Ryan Garcia. He can't have anything less than that.
Without a doubt, guys, and I appreciate you guys' input on this, man. But without a doubt, I 100% agree so much on these fighters moving the needle themselves and not being held underneath any sanctioning body rules, even the promoters fighting against promoters. Shout out to Virgil Ortiz as he has his uphill battle with Oscar De La Hoya, not allowing, outside entities to get in the way of their legacy and what they want to get done, or their money or their business. And that's what we're seeing with Ryan Garcia. We're seeing Ryan Garcia being in control, showing that he has no limitations and that where he's willing to go to, however anybody wants to believe it or not believe it, or call cap on it or not cap on it. This is what they're doing, right? They're moving in spite of Oscar De La Hoya, in spite of maybe an Eddie Hearn, or in spite of whoever people may have thought were the handlers of these fighters. So that's very interesting to watch it develop and come together. I don't know what's going to happen, just like you said, but there's another part. We can move the needle and continue to move the conversation forward, because I'm here to move the conversation forward. The other piece to this is that the biggest story on the back end of that victory, no matter what Ryan Garcia said, the space was clamoring and been clamoring and probably still clamoring right now to the idea of the fight that the space wants to see, which is Devin Haney. Now, we know Devin Haney he stated in his Twitter that, this ship sailed. He said Ryan Garcia wasn't inside of a Vada pool, and that was something he wasn't interested in. But even the great Bill Haney couldn't deny the algorithm buzzing so heavy about this fight. He had to see the possibilities, the potential in this fight, and he knew this was something he couldn't hide from. And not to say that they were hiding from it, but it was just an undeniable demand for this fight. And so he's changed his tune up a little bit, right? As far as the strict VADA testing that they wanted. They've come back off of that. He doesn't need the 365 24/7. He's okay with however the commission and carries it. Just wants him to be in the pool. But Ryan Garcia has communicated differently. Said that fight can happen whenever. He's made it clear how he looks at that fight. Yeah, that fight is going to happen, but it can happen whenever. It will always be there, according to Ryan Garcia. So that being said, if he is actively pursuing this fight with Shakur Stevenson, this puts Devin Haney right back in the same space he was in when we were talking about before, which is, what options does Devin have? If it's not going to be Ryan right now, what direction does Devin Haney go in? Does he go to Xander Zayas? Well, I think that's an easy yes for us, but Xander, we know, also has his own ambitious goals of unifying and fighting a Josh Kelly. So if Xander Zayas is not going to be available for Devin Haney, then what's the next option? Well, I think the elephant in the room is Keyshawn Davis. That's the one that we keep hearing the rumor about, Keyshawn and Devin potentially being on that King of the Ring or King of Kings or whatever the name of that event's going to be during the summer. But we're not hearing the Haney's talk about Keyshawn Davis that much. We've seen Keyshawn kind of do his own campaign, social media wise, with his Debo, where's Debo at? I mean, it had a little bit of legs behind it, under it. But once this Ryan Garcia situation happened with Mario Barrios, it seems like the whole momentum went towards that being their focus. Let's get Ryan. Let's get that done. But Ryan looks like he might be on another page. Devin Haney, once again, back at square one, seeming to be limited in his options as far as big money paydays. So I'll send it to you guys. What does it look like? How does this thing turn out? What's a legitimate answer or option for Devin Haney right now that makes sense that we can look forward to potentially seeing? What do you think, Ray?
Well, first of all, I'm going to call a duck on Ryan Garcia. I don't care what anybody says or tries to play it as. The fact is, Devin been called this guy out. He called him out since that Manhattan thing. He's been wanting that fight back. He's been saying it constantly. The guy dropped the ball on his end. They put the fight back in place after Rolly then threw his name in the hat for himself in that tournament that he was supposed to have. He then said that he had a shoulder injury, hand injury, this happened, that happened. Then once Devin decided that he was fighting Brian Norman, all of a sudden Ryan feels better. Then Ryan said he wanted to fight for a belt. We knew Mario Barrios didn't want that fight initially because it took forever for him to sign that contract. Oscar sent it to him. They wanted that fight, that deal done on the ring card. And Barrios was not looking forward to that fight. He didn't want to take that fight. So guess who was sitting there and waiting? Ryan Garcia, still talking. Yeah, I'll take the winner. Anybody can do this. And as soon as Devin won, what happened? There goes our boy Ryan again, right? Oh, I'm going to go fight Barrios. That's a bigger fight for me. This, and that. Okay, so you move. See, people forget these little things that happen in these motions. So then Devin then doubled down and said multiple times, including his last thing before the fiasco happened in the Madison Square Garden, that the fight he wants next, and definitely the fight to make, is Ryan Garcia. He wanted that fight. He said he hopes he gets the winner of that fight with Barrios and Ryan, especially Ryan, because that fight has to be ran back. Then we get to a point where we get Ryan now saying, oh, Devin doesn't want to fight, Bill's this, Bill's that, whatever. And we can go on and so forth. My point is, this guy has moved the needle from A to B, or as my boy would say, he made the football field 300 yards, right? Instead of a 100-yard football field, he didn't move that goalpost 200 more yards down the way.
But that being said, though, right, Ray, like real quick, right? So yeah. I get the story, right? And I get that Ryan Garcia, it sounds like you may have a little bit of contempt with the way he's been maneuvering. And I don't know if the story or the narrative is as important as much as the present situation being he's limited on his options, and the question being solution-based wise moving forward. It seems like Devin Haney's once again back to square one, limited options. He's not the first choice for some of the biggest fights in the space. What does Devin Haney do next? That makes sense.
I'm giving that point. It's going to get there. I'm sorry. I'm taking a little roundabout. But, so with that fight with Ryan, it didn't surface, obviously, whatever reasons. And now they're moving the needle a little bit on their end, saying that we're willing to accept certain things to make that fight happen. Cool. Here's the plan for Devin. And this is what needs to be happening. And this is me speaking. You need to go fight that 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn. Okay. Because the reason why I'm saying that is because that gets you in a fight with Noakes. I'm not Noakes, excuse me, Crocker. And after Crocker, if we know Gearsoft is in that mandatory fight with Rolly, that puts you in another position for a title fight. Now, Eddie's been dying for you to be his champion and represent him as a champion. That gives you 2 fights right there. And if you can't do 3, do the 2, whatever. You know what I mean? And then you got Keyshawn saying that he talked to Eddie about the Devin fight or whatever, and they could have made it happen. Okay, well, we know he's the ring promoter, right? Why not? Okay, let's let it happen. As far as Keyshawn, I'm calling clout to that point a little bit. Not all the way, but a little bit. Because now he's talking about this guy, Lamont Roach, and talking about he was moved to 147. Not to mention, he had now a week since the WBO put out the information about him moving up and putting his paperwork in for 147 because he can't even compete there, and they're not going to recognize him. And he still didn't move that. He didn't move that needle either. So Devin's options are wary. Is Boots in the picture? No, because Boots is calling out Ryan and Virgil. Boots is looking for that big fight, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, with a Mexican superstar. I promise you he is. And that's exactly why he's not available for Devin. It's not that anybody's scared of each other and things of that nature. It's just everybody's looking for that bag right now and the name. Boots does need that situation more than Devin, right? I get that. And so does Shakur. So Devin needs to weigh his options. I think he needs to go call Eddie instead of calling now. He needs to call Eddie, take that deal, and move it that way, man. And let's find out where it goes, because that's the only way he's going to get these fights.
No doubt, no doubt. Reyes, what? It's a complicated situation for Devin, right? So, I'm definitely interested. Like, what makes sense? And I have a feeling I got some. I know one thing that's definitely going to come up. I got one thing that I know is definitely going to come up. But I'm interested in the options, man. Lay it out for the space, man.
First of all, let me say this, because I know Mr. Bill Haney listens to everything. So, Mr. Bill Haney, we would absolutely love to have you on the show. Let me again repeat that all we do on the show is support the boxers, because what we care about is what's best for the boxers. We're speaking to a mainstream base of fans who may not even know what's going on with the information of things. So we're rooting. In fact, me and Claymore have already said, whatever Devin's next fight is, whoever it is, we're not rooting against Devin, because the one thing Devin has proven to us is that he is the best 147-pound fighter in the world today. Period. End of story. The fact that he's not the Ring Magazine champion is just semantics right now, right? It's because there needs to be a trend. There needs to be a way to get him there. So let me help you out, Mr. Bill Haney. Let me help you out on how to get him there. Unless some crazy thing happens in where this boxing war that you're seeing in front of your very eyes is showing you, the Turkey Al-Sheikh ain't playing around. And he's not playing around with these sanctioning bodies no more. And if Ryan Garcia, who made the smart move, it's not a duck, to fight the number 3 pound for pound best fighter in the world. Right. I digress, sir. In fact, I would say it's a scarier fight, because there are plenty of people that will sit there and go, oh, no, rehydration this, Tank Davis. The only way this fight's going to happen is if this happens. That's not what Ryan said. Ryan said, I'm on top of the world right now. Everybody loves me, and like it or not, I basically have a Jake Paul following too. So I'm the bread. I'm the butter. I'm the whole thing. And instead of me fighting you, Devin, because you keep saying Vada, whatever, or whatnot, I'm just going to go another direction, and I'm going to go fight Shakur Stevenson, who's pound for pound number 3. Because my best case scenario is I beat him, and now I am pound for pound number 3 or higher. My worst case scenario is I lost to a guy at 140, which wasn't even my division. I'm still the 147 champion for the WBC. So either way, it's the better business move. So now we're talking business, Mr. Bill Haney. And since we're talking business, the Xander fight, is it real? I don't think so. Xander Zayas might actually either this Top Rank is Top Rank going to do something with ESPN? I don't know. What I do know is Xander wants to continue to fight for legacy, and Xander's going to get closer to 160.
Ray, I'm about to say, and his time may be limited at 154, so he's trying to capitalize in that division. Go ahead.
Right. So having said that, right, now your options start to run out because Ryan's saying he's going to fight Shakur, which, if I'm guessing correctly, if they're willing to pay $15 million to Conor Ben to go fight on a Netflix, I'm pretty sure Shakur versus Ryan could also be a super fight being made, promoted by Dana White, promoted by Zuffa, a la Canelo Crawford, TKO, right? It's like I can see that happening too. And since it's a Ring Magazine belt, that really makes sense that it's a ring card, right? So Shakur Garcia most likely will trend going that direction. But Mr. Haney, you want to fight? Don't call for Xander. I don't think that's happening, right? In one scenario, if you want to take small money, I don't know exactly what Rick Reno or those guys are going to be saying to you, or what Turkey Al-Sheikh wants for you. Tiger Johnson, because of the incident, is a possibility, right? Tiger Johnson's currently ranked number 10 at Ring Magazine, so at least you got a ring-ranked guy that can fight you. You want to get closer to maybe even cementing being called I am the 147 welterweight Ring Magazine champion. That is me. All right, great, Devin. That's awesome. Well, according to the rules that me and Claymore spoke for about 4 hours on when we were doing our own ratings debate on things, which, by the way, Claymore, the ratings did change. So they might have listened to our private conversation about what the hell are you having Alexis Rocha in here for? These damn phones, right? They heard us. They heard us. But they changed it. So according to that rule, Devin Haney, you can fight anyone in the top 5 and become the Ring Magazine champion. Now, we already saw you beat the brakes off of Brian Norman, so that won't happen. I don't see a rematch. How about Stan Jonas? In fact, how about Stan Jonas on Netflix April 11th? Because the last time I checked, you're a free agent. Stan Jonas, who's a part of Wildcard, is most likely signing a Zuffa contract sooner rather than later. So with that said, if this is all about money and you got Conor Benn fighting Regis Prograis, how big of a deal would it be if Devin Haney was fighting Emmanuel Stanionis, who's ranked number 3 for the Ring Magazine welterweight championship of the world on Netflix to be shown to everyone, free to access? Okay, that's one option for you, Mr. Haney. You got the Tiger Johnson option. You got the Stanionis option, right? These are all, by the way, these are all options that I would hope to think for anybody who's a Haney fan is sitting there going, I like where Angelo's going with this because these are easy fights for Devin. Yeah, Devin should beat these guys. Devin should smoke them, right? And become the Ring Magazine welterweight champion.
Can I add one more question that you can add?
Yeah.
What if it's about the money?
Oh.
And if it is exclusively about the money, can you give Devin Haney a viable option that puts him in the lane of the money, if that's what it's about? If these fights that you're talking about are definitely viable options, but if it's about the money, if that's what this is about, prize fighting, is there an option out there that makes sense for Devin Haney that puts him in the crosshairs of getting a big payday?
Okay.
Outside of the obvious ones that he can't have.
Okay. I understand the question, so I will state it like this, right? To our casual sports fans who are listening to understanding how boxing works. For far too long, and I know, Ray, you'll understand this, for far too long, everybody's felt this whole weird A side, B side, A side gets the most money, blah, blah, blah thing, right? And then Turkey Al-Sheikh came into play. And with Turkey Al-Sheikh coming into play, you literally see a fighter like Tyson Fury and Conor Benn getting 8 figures to fight their opponents, which is Makhmudov and Regis Prograis. So I think when we're starting to think about the money, where is Devin Haney going to get the money? You get the money from Turkey, and you do as Turkey says. And if Turkey tells you to go fight Emmanuel Stanionis for $15 million,
you go collect that.
Is collect the check. So I know when Ray Davis is shaking his head like, I don't want to see him fight Emmanuel Stanionis. Not a lot of people want to see people fight anyone, but they're trying to do a narrative now. Ring Magazine is trying to reintroduce boxing to a mass public that says to themselves, oh, it's accessible. I'm going to watch it anyways. And trust me, Claymore, if I watch Conor Benn spark Regis Prograis, and I see Haney spark Emmanuel Stanionis, and then you just told me as a casual fan that Devin Haney is the best 147-pound fighter in the world, I'm going to be sitting there as a casual fan going, oh, shit, well, I sure want to see Conor Benn versus Devin Haney next. That'd be a fun fight, right?
Isn't he fighting at 150?
It doesn't matter. Again, I'm trying to explain the narrative to the casual fans of how this works. So to your question, Claymore, at the end of the day, when it comes to the money is what Turkey will pay you. So really, the next question is Bill willing to take, or Devin willing to take, whatever that money is for whoever the opponent might be? Because I'm not sure how much, and I would never pretend like I know Bill Haney, like he's going to tell me how much they made for Brian Norman. But can I fairly guess and say that he didn't get $15 million? Is that a fair assumption?
I think that's fair.
All right. So if somebody's offering you 8 figures to go fight whoever it is next, fighting the number 3 Ring Magazine fighter in the world, that's fine. I understand Ray's point. Like, yeah, you can sign a 3-fight deal with Eddie. Sure, man. If you're looking at the tea leaves of the boxing war, though, you really want to sign with Eddie? Are you sure about that, the way the direction's going? Because if you guys get a chance to check out Read the Ring 1 and Read the Ring episode 2, you'll really enjoy Read the Ring episode 3, because the war has started and Turkey is so far right now advancing. So but back to you, Clay.
Yeah. Listen, it's an interesting point of conversation, right? And there's limitations there. Now I'm going to tell you straight up, the elephant in the room is 147. I'm thinking Jerron Boots Ennis. I'm thinking Devin is going to have a difficult time being active in his division and have significant fights that affect his pockets as well as affect his legacy. And you can't help but feel like he's being pushed towards 154, which I feel, listening to Bill Haney, whose perspective on this conversation has been evolving for a couple of weeks right now. It went from we'd rather not go to 154. We want to make the 147. Lewis Crocker, what's up? That ended up going in a certain direction. Oh, man, let's see. Let's make the big fight. Shakur is not interested in going there without a rehydration clause. Keyshawn Davis. Well, Keyshawn Davis, you know, obviously there's a number. There's Keyshawn Davis is not just a hungry, thirsty fighter who's just going to take anything you give to him. Clearly, he's about the right deal. He wants it to make sense for him. He believes that he brings a certain amount of value to the table. One can argue, you can't argue against it, because when you have a fighter who doesn't have a lot of options, Keyshawn clearly taking that into consideration and saying, bro, don't act like you could do whatever you want. You know you need me just as much. I can literally, and you can make an argument that I need you. We got to talk real numbers now and make it make sense, or I'm just going to ignore you like everybody else is. So Keyshawn's making it very clear to space, as much as he may or may not want this Devin Haney fight, he has no problem communicating Lewis Crocker. You know what I'm saying? 140 competition. Other fights I can make. I don't need to do nothing. So make it make sense for me. And more importantly, and then of course Ryan Garcia's position. So more importantly, it's not about point and blame. It's about pointing at the reality. The reality is, what is Devin going to do? If he gets pushed into 154 to find an opponent who's willing to fight him, I think they're moving outside of the game plan that they have. I don't think that's what Bill Haney's original game plan was. Tiger Johnson is a legitimate option just because of the potential of building up a story behind it, right? With everything that happened and capitalizing, and you can call it even a stay busy fight. A fight makes him active, and I think the fan base could get behind it, right? They could understand and see that he has no real options, but he wants to be active. And here's this storyline involving Devin Haney's little brother, involving his father, involving Madison Square Garden, so much footage. It does have some bite to it. It's not the fight that the people want to see, but Devin seems limited. And that being said, it's, do you step back, one step back to potentially take 2-3 steps forward?
Can I ask you this question? Oh, go ahead and finish your point.
Well, do you focus more on activity right now? Like Jerron Boots Ennis is fighting at the end of March, beginning of April. It seems, according to Eddie Hearn, no matter what.
No matter what.
Can Devin approach his situation? Will Devin and Bill be interested in approaching their situation the same way? Activity over everything right now. If the fights we want to happen cannot be made because these fighters are either tied up in other negotiations, not interested in fighting us at all, whatever the reason is, do we pick activity over everything and just take what's really available? Or do we continue to try to force the biggest fights possible, even though they don't seem realistic? And are you willing to give up on the activity in the spirit of doing that? Is my question.
No, so my question back to you guys real quick. And you know, again, this channel, we want to see Devin fight. Devin, you fought in November, bro. We want to see you fight. We want to have you back out there. So my question back to you guys is, do you think the Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis is a quote unquote step down fight? Because last time I checked, it's being told right now that the highest paid ever co-main event in the history of boxing is Conor Benn. So, Bill, if it's about the money, who cares? You could be fighting Tiger Johnson for $15 million for all we care. We don't care. I care. Well, I care about seeing you fight, and that's what I care about. So,
but what if that $15 million isn't on the table? What if? Right. And this is what I'm talking about, right?
10.
No, I'm saying, what if it's 5, 7? What if it's just a number that they feel like is not their price? If I'm just trying to say, right? If they feel like there's a number that they've hit and they don't want to go below it, but they just can't find the dance partner that demands that number, are they willing to, in the spirit of activity, take something lower, be active, or do they wait? Do they wait for the availability and not be active and wait for the biggest fights? And is that conducive to Devin Haney's campaign right now? Does that make more sense? Terrence Crawford, just to land my plane, took a year and damn near a half off to Canelo Alvarez. He's decided, I don't need to fight nobody else, no tune-ups. That's a fight I'm going to fight. I'm going to wait. Does Devin Haney wait? Should he wait?
Right. No, and I'll do this real quick, then I'll get out, Ray, so you can talk about it. Devin can do whatever he wants because he's the best 147-pound fighter in the world. That's what I'm going to say about that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're reading the ring and you're reading the room of what's happening, if you ain't playing, then nobody's paying. That's how this is working right now. Okay? Shakur just played. He got paid. Tio just played. And he's about to get paid by Zuffa. So, right? Even Richardson Hitchens didn't even play at all. All right? And Richardson Hitchens might get paid sooner than Devin because he's playing. So, Devin, if you don't want to play the game, that's cool, man. The rest of everybody else, though, they're going to get paid because they're playing. Go ahead, Ray.
See, I like where you were going with the whole 80s throwback thing and fighting. Listen, stay busy fights do work. I'm not mad at that situation. Stanionis, I'm not a fan of it, but it's a fight. Take what you can get. I'm all for that. As far as the way that like we're discussing these fights for Devin, we got to remember this needle is moved from boxer to boxer to boxer based on their recent fights. Most recent fight ago, when Devin fought, Devin was the best boxer in the world. No one could touch him. Nobody was looking at him differently. We're going with the current information. Then it was Shakur. Shakur did his thing. Shakur was the best fighter in the world. Nobody could touch him. Now it's Ryan. Ryan's the biggest name in the sport. It moves with the ladder. We have to remember it's current situations. But as we look back in those current situations, what are we really looking at? You know what I mean? Are we looking at what should be tested correctly, or are we looking at what should be given? I like what Clay said, is the money's not right. Do they still take the fight? I mean, obviously they're champions, but they're also looking to do the right things when it comes to them fighting in this ring. It's not, you know what I mean? Do what you did last, right? Exactly. Fans switching up. I love it. I didn't want to go there though. But you know what I mean? It's boxing, and we are current with boxing, right? But Devin has a way of maneuvering, and it's a shame because we would like to see him against certain fighters. He has called out these fighters. He has called out many fighters. Some fighters, like you said, rehydration clauses, or they don't want to fight, or they're saying that they want to go to 47. They don't do the paperwork. They're stating that and I know I'm repeating, they're stating that, oh, my hands hurt here. He said it. They say everything but let's fight. They continuously stand on that. Right? He's going to try to call this guy Xander Zayas out. Xander Zayas is having trouble.
Ray, what does Devin do though? Like I know behind these other fights happening, but what
he signs, he has to sign with Eddie, bro. He has to eat that deal.
So if he signs with Eddie, if he signs with Eddie, I'm gonna just hold on, Andrew. I'm gonna push back at the signing with Eddie thing a little bit. I didn't respond to it before, right? I'm not a big fan of that necessarily. I do understand the logic behind it, right? But I'm gonna tell you why I'm not a big fan of it, because it gives Ed if you read the room, Eddie Hearn is in the middle of a crazy war. You don't want somebody who wants independence and wants the freedom to do whatever they want to do and cash in on whatever opportunities are available when they are opportunity. I think there's an argument to say it's not smart to get involved in this war this way. To tie yourself to 3 fights to somebody who's in the crosshairs of a mega I'm saying company that is focused on taking from them. I don't do that if I'm him right now. It's like being at war with a country and trying to figure out if you should go take a vacation there or not right now. Right. It's like, I did want to go, but it's kind of hostile. Do I
And
leave my country right now where I'm safe? Opportunities may be slim, but do I leave my security in my flexibility and put myself under the restrictions of somebody who may literally use me as a pawn to fight another place and maybe even limit my ability to take advantage of maybe what that other place may offer me? Maybe I want to stay open. Maybe I'm in a good place where Dana White might offer me 20 million, 15 million to do something. And now I've tied myself down to you, and I've taken myself off the board, and I've made everything limited to what you can and are willing to do for me, with what you have under your stable. I don't think Bill and Devin want to do that.
Right.
And thank you for saying that, by the way, Clay, because that was my entire point, right?
Right. And that's
Devin Haney is the guy that can make whatever decision he wants. Bill, you're a smart businessman, but Bill, since you are a smart businessman, brother, read the room. Okay, the people who are active, they're the ones getting paid. The people who are not active, you're taking a gamble, and I'm cool with it. If you want to gamble and wait to see how everything plays itself out, you're still the name. You're still the best 147 pounder. You could command the most money. But if Conor Benn is getting paid $15 million on a one-fight deal to go get Regis Prograis on Netflix, which is
why tie yourself to Eddie Hearn for 3 fights?
26 subscribers. Bill, you don't need to tie yourself to anyone, bro. You
need to get. Let's be honest. Let's speak to the elephant in the room. Let's just be honest real quick and say that the reality is Bill needs to find a way to get himself in the crosshairs of that budget Paramount has.
Yep.
And that budget that Turkey is providing. He needs to get in that conversation now. Does that mean he needs to sign with Zuffa and become a Zuffa fighter?
That's what I'm saying.
But he needs to find where he fits. What makes sense. The conversation needs to be there. What fits? What can we get done that allows us to be us in what our brand is, which is independent, free, not underneath the power of the thumb of anybody, but still allows us to take advantage of this pool of money that you've shown the world you're willing to give out. You've shown the world that you got some money that you're giving it to Conor Benn. And I know, or at least I believe in my brand to say that if you're willing to do that, we got to be worth something good. I'm not looking to get under some regular promotional company and get into some 3-fight deal that restricts my hands and makes it to where I have to move to the drum of somebody else's beat. Conor Benn has a 1-fight deal for $15 million, and he's back on the market doing what he wants to do after that fight, whether he wants to redo another deal with them or move on to greener pastures. That sounds more like a Bill Haney type of deal and situation. And I think that's I was waiting. I thought Angelo was going to speak to it a little bit more, and I think he did. And I was waiting for you, Ray, to kind of grab it a little bit as well. But yeah, it's not about signing to those guys. It's about getting in a conversation with Dana White right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm all for that, right? But what I'm speaking to is, okay, Conor Benn brings a country with him. Devin brings hate, right? And what I mean by that is he's probably the most hated boxer in the United States. So yeah, it looks good to a certain degree, and he could probably use that to his advantage. You know what I mean? Of bringing fans to see him lose. But what does that do for his brand? I'm not saying that Zuffa's not a good fit. Anything could be a good fit. All those deals are great. But now when we're looking at the sense of him looking for a fight, guys, he has options just like everybody else. It's just his options are running low. Why? Because these guys are finding deals somewhere else, and it's okay. You know what I mean? He just has to keep beating the paddle, right? It's all right. But here's the thing. If he wants, the reason why I said Eddie Hearn was a good fit is because Eddie has the belt. This guy is saying that he wants to fight for the belt, if I'm listening to him correctly. Now, I know the bag comes with that, but what does that do with Eddie or anyone else trying to support? I'm sorry, Turkey trying to support that deal.
The belts don't necessarily bring the bag anymore.
I understand. That's not what I'm getting at.
But the other thing too, Ray, that again, I don't want.
I'll let you guys.
Hold on. No, hold on. I just want to make sure because I want to stat correct. You know, I stat correct. So when you say Eddie has the belts, he has one. That's Lewis Crocker, who has a hand injury. That's why the Liam Power is not happening. He doesn't have 147 WBC because that's with Ryan. Ryan's not with Eddie. He doesn't have the WBA because that's Rolly. Rolly's not with Eddie. So Eddie only has one belt, bro. He has the one belt that he could offer Devin Haney. But go ahead, land your plane.
Yeah, but he also has a fight with Giasaw Rolly does, right? Coming up. That has to happen because it's a mandatory shot, right? So that's a potential. That's what I'm saying. These things are moving in place.
So where's the
they don't, but that's the problem. Now he has to stay independent or somehow work with Turkey or get something behind his budget. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I don't know how this works out. I'm just throwing the scenario out there.
Right.
Like everybody else.
But we're having a conversation, right? It's not about being right or wrong, but you're going to present things, and we're going to present the other things that push against it or for it, and it's about the conversation moving forward. The conversation moving forward is okay, fine. Eddie Hearn, you brought that to the table as an option for him, and we're like, okay, Eddie Hearn, 3-fight deal. What does Devin walk away from a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn?
Now,
in comparison to the cons, which is the restriction, which is the you know what I'm saying, the contractual obligations. What does Eddie Hearn provide Devin Haney and Bill Haney in real time that is worth him restricting himself for maybe the next 1.5 to 2 years with Eddie Hearn, when right now in the space there's a $500 million 5-year deal contract going on one of the biggest networks that you can be on with Dana White, who's just in front of your eyes giving Conor Benn, somebody who arguably across the space is not worth that, right? Arguably, you know what I'm saying, across the space. I'm sure there's arguments on the other side as well, especially.
Yeah, I could argue the other way.
I'm about to say Dana was on this panel right now. I'm sure
I would totally.
Okay.
No, hey, Dana, you don't need to be on the panel. I can argue why Conor Benn.
No. So what I'm saying
is,
what I'm saying is, seeing this happen in real time, why at this moment would Devin Haney tie himself up in a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn? Why would it make sense for him to do that at this opportune moment, seeing what's happening right now?
Right. I definitely hear you, right? But I'm also looking at a price match that we just got, and like you said, you selling himself, right? That we just seen with Ben Rodriguez. So there's a situation where there could be money there in that deal. But on the other hand, there is something that I was trying to get to once I broke this down. And I'm just going to land my plane on that whole Eddie Hearn thing, because I think we're just beating a dead horse on that. But with the Zuffa angle, what I see is the Teofimo fight could happen. At him moving up the welterweight and being a claim of future Zuffa fighter, and that could be a fight that we can see. It is a name. It is somebody that we can actually get in the ring finally. It could be a big payday for both fighters. Here's the thing. Do we get that type of fight? Because what does the brand of Teofimo Lopez bring at this point? That's the whole thing. He has to go out there and prove himself to a degree. I don't know where this goes for Devin. At the end of the day, I'm just throwing the option out. That option was what it tends to be.
Right. Okay.
There's other scenarios. There's other placements. 100%. There's other things. I think the Ryan fight is where it's at. Unfortunately, they're going to have to do some cartwheels and backflips to get that guy to lead that Shakur area. And if they can't do that, bro, find a fight. I don't like the Tiger Johnson thing. I think he's I don't want to hear the whole green thing. I think it's a good fight to have, but I just don't think it's a worthy fight of the times, this per se. Now there could be a build up to that fight if they have a fight or two and they build up and meet on the same cards. That's fine. But just to throw it out there, Rohan Polanco, that's a good fight to have. But,
sure.
I mean, so that's a good fight. Then you have Stanionis. I'm not a fan of it because it's coming on the coattails of Boots beating him up.
Ranked number 3, though. Ranked number 3, man. And that gives you the ring title.
Right.
All you have to do is beat rank number 3. You get the ring belt.
But another fight I would like is if he does want a fight. Of course, it ties him up with this guy again, which I don't want to say that, but he can see if Turkey will grant that Jack Catterall fight, which I think Turkey's a nice fan of Jack Catterall. And I know, but he's the highest WBO guy in the division, right? I don't like the fight, but this is a payday he can have over in Scotland or whatever. No, he's England.
No, he's in England.
It does it does put him in front of some eyes. It does give him an audience and the possibilities there. And I like Angelo's standing on this off the strength of the control, being the number one guy in the division. But I push back at that a little bit to say that he already
HLD, we did an entire breakdown on how the rules work. So catch up, bro. It's not 1 versus 2 anymore. There's actually a stipulation that states you could go 1 through 5 if it's vacant. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry, Clay.
I don't think that the Ring Magazine belt is going to help Devin as much as it looks like it would, because I think he's already acknowledged as the ring champion. He just doesn't have the belt yet, and it's not leveraging anything in the negotiation table as far as him making the biggest fights. I think that Bill Haney and Devin Haney are in a space right now where what they're interested in is clear, because if you affiliate yourself with Turkey the way they've been affiliating themselves, it's for the money. And if it's for the money, then they need to get in the conversation of where the money's at. I think without a doubt from my seat, the money is with Dana White. Turkey is focused on that. He is giving the money and giving Dana White the freedom to let that money go. If you're trying to get to a money fight right now, Dana, what makes sense? And the reality is what makes sense potentially is in May, Conor Benn in the UK. If you can get on the other side of that fight, you can get yourself in the way of some money, and you can get also the notoriety. Everything checks well over there. The idea of Zuffa boxing may taint the conversation to a lot of people, because people are still looking at Zuffa boxing as a step down because of their structure. But the reality is, when we're talking about money right now, I think the argument is they are the one legitimate step up in the conversation. They just have proven that that's who they are right now. Eddie Hearn hasn't shown that he is the step up in the conversation. He's having a hard time right now getting Boots a fight with Virgil Ortiz. He's in the court. He's doing all types of stuff. He wasn't able to hold Conor Benn and match the deal for Conor Benn to keep him there. They're not competing well in this space. Now Frank Warren is suing for $1 billion because they can't compete. And they're trying to slow this train up because this Zuffa invasion is happening. Dana White is aggressive. He's slapping people around, like he said, like babies. And now they're trying to get law and legislation to stop the train because they can't compete on the playing field as is. They can't compete here. So
all right, I can see.
Now bringing it full circle back to
that. By the way, hold on, Clay. It's not about conceding, right?
I know.
We're just trying. We're trying to put it out so that the mainstream listeners can understand that not only do we support Devin Haney, not only have we repeatedly said he's the best welterweight, but right now it's free agency period. And in free agency, man, you got to go where the money is. But go ahead, Clay.
True.
Right, 100%.
You're right. I agree.
And if the conversation is going to be about Devin Haney's most logical move at this point, I think it's fair to say he's exhausted a lot of avenues at this point trying to get this done. If you were trying to avoid it, I understand. If you'd rather not, I understand. But at this point, it's kind of like I'm always going to ask this question. Then what's the other option?
Yep.
Because Turkey is clearly who you're wanting to get the money from. But Turkey's ignoring the whole entire space except for his Ring Magazine ambassadors and
Zuffa.
Zuffa. That's where he's focusing his energy from my point of view, clearly. So if you want to get in that way, if you want to get in the crosshairs or in the algorithm or frequency level of money, you want to get on the same page as Turkey. It seems like Turkey, Zuffa, Dana coming together. That's where it's at. They just picked up Conor Benn. Get in that conversation. Figure out how to do that.
And again, and Clay, as you know, we're on short time today. If we want to make sure we do that, so let me just again, I want to make sure that whoever our replay gang, mainstream casual sports fans, listeners, we thank you guys. By the way, guys, please hit the like buttons, share the channel, and subscribe. We're getting a lot of great feedback on the information we're giving. So the conversation today started with Haney versus with Garcia versus Shakur. And then what's Haney going to do? So I am going to tell you right now, because haven't been wrong too much lately, Clay, on a lot of things. So Ryan Garcia versus Shakur Stevenson will happen. Yeah. So get Haney Garcia out your mind.
Yeah.
No, Ryan Garcia versus Shakur Stevenson will happen. And if for any of you who are going to look at me and go, here goes Angelo again, trying to stir the pot. Okay, here's the thing. If Terrence Crawford was the one that got Errol Spence to fight him, on the strength of Terrence Crawford saying, hey, bro, forget these promoters. Let's you and I get this done. How do you think it looks when someone like Turkey, who wants to support it, who has money, who's the most powerful guy, is sitting there listening to Ryan and Shakur live and to the public to see, negotiating with each other already about fighting each other? This is Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence all over again, except there's actual promotional money support behind it. So it's going to happen, y'all. Ryan Garcia versus Shakur is going to happen.
I definitely believe. I think it is, and without a doubt, Ryan's not interested in Devin Haney right now, and I don't care about the reason. It's scared, ducking. It doesn't matter. More importantly, Devin ain't fighting that guy right now, and who's Devin going to fight next? He needs to get in front of some money. We'll see what they do as this develops. That was a great little build on that. I do want to move the needle. We have a little bit of time left, and I want to speak to the fight card this weekend. We got Eduardo Sugar Nunez, and we've got Emmanuel Navarrete getting ready to have their headline card, unification title fight, IBF Eduardo Nunez, WBO. Yeah, WBO with Emmanuel Navarrete. Great fight. 130 pounds. There's going to be some people in the building. I want to sing my Full House. Everywhere. Anyway, O'Shaquie Foster should be in the building. That's what he said in a late interview, that he plans on being in the building. He wants to be there to challenge the winner of that fight to unify and bring his WBC belt into conversation. And of course, I think people aren't talking about him enough, but there is a wild card elephant in the room in multiple ways we can talk about it. And that's my guy, Raymond Savage Ford, who was trying to get in the crosshairs of fighting Sugar Nunez next for his IBF title. He had to step aside and allow the unification to happen. You got to think he still has some interest in there. Not to mention Raymond Ford has interest in fighting O'Shaquie Foster, who has been shooting at Shakur Stevenson. I think there's a lot of intricate, interesting moving parts to the dynamic of what we're looking happen at 130 pounds this weekend, and as well as a very good undercard. But I want to talk about that fight. What do you guys think about that fight, and what do you think comes off on the back end of that fight, man, with O'Shaquie Foster and Raymond Ford involved in the conversation as well?
Well, I want to jump in because I got to get my son in like less than 10 minutes. Listen, I think that's a great fight. I think we've been waiting for the buildup of that for quite a while, and I think he's also a guy chasing Shakur and throwing things out there. Shaquie Foster, Raymond Ford has been that guy that's been trying to get that fight because he believes that he is the guy to beat him. I'll say this time and time again. O'Shaquie Foster is more of a challenge than anything, and I hope he gets a Nunez winner out of Nunez and Navarrete. Actually, I think that's more of a better look. I think that's a unification of the division. I think that moves another needle as we're talking about 130. But as far as Raymond Ford, he's already made his announcement that he's moving to 135, regardless if he hasn't made the move yet and put his contractual paper agreements up. It's still a good fight for a shot, man, and I think that's where it's a heated battle. Those guys they've been right there waiting for each other. So, however this works out, however it pans out, we're going to get something that's going to marinate into something great. And I just can't wait, Clay, for the end of this. And I was watching it, O'Shaquie. And it's just like he's just fixated on Shakur, which is crazy. Out of all this chaos going on over there in 130, he's just fixated on Shakur and getting that fight. And again, it speaks to the same things we were talking about Devin months ago, Ryan now, and Shakur yesterday, right? Shakur is that guy. He's calling. These people are calling him out because of who he is, and they believe that he is the challenge. He is the guy. He's the apex predator. And why not go get him while the cooking is hot, right? While the food's hot. So I'm good for whatever moves that these guys make at 130, as long as it moves their careers forward in the right positioning. I really have no strong takes, but I just don't think O'Shaquie's the best, man, out of all those guys, except for Shakur.
Yeah, okay. No, I was going to say, Clay, because, I'm looking at the time, and we could roll right into this whole Shockey to you calling the fights this weekend. So, guys, please tune in on Saturday. Claymore will be doing what he does Saturday. Nunez versus Navarrete on the Zone in Arizona. It's a great fight
Got a great
card.
undercard too.
I mean, really great undercards. But yeah, I think that part of the reason why not a lot of the casuals understand how significant 130-pound unification is because we're living in a world right now where the casual fans are finally, the casual sports fans are finally getting a chance to have access to boxing again, whether it's through Netflix, whether it's through Paramount Plus, but actual access where you don't have to pay $45 a month just to get your boxing. All right. I'm just, hey, DAZN, you heard me. All right. We in America, bro, like charge us what you're charging the UK people, then we can talk. But you guys are diabolical. You're giving us the tariff. All right. You guys got to figure this out. So yeah, so that's part of the reason. Even though it is in Arizona, even though from what Eddie Hearn says, it's already sold 10,000 tickets. Yeah, that's great, man. And believe me, Claymore's gonna call it. We're gonna talk about it. We're going to explain how significant and important it is. It's a unification fight. This is amazing. So Shockey Foster knows better than all those guys. I mean, like, you know, like if we're just going to keep it real, right? Shockey Foster, who just beat the brakes off of Stephen Fulton, who at one time when Stephen Fulton was the 122 champ, people thought he'd be a pound for pound guy, right? Then Naoya Inoue did him dirty. And then the rest is history, essentially. But shout out to you, bro, Stephen Fulton, for beating Brandon Figueroa. And then I don't know what happened with your weight, man. But it is what it is. So Shockey Foster is the king. I agree with what Ray's saying. Like, stop calling Shakur Stevenson. That fight ain't ever going to happen. And if you want to stay at 130, then basically what you need to do is show up in Arizona, front row, the winner of that fight, and you better hope it's Navarrete. Because if it's Navarrete, at least you got a top-ranked fighter against a top-ranked fighter, and you guys can call each other in the ring. But if it's not Navarrete and it's Sugar Nunez, oh boy, Jazza Dickens versus Anthony Kakachi is coming up, and I can see Sugar Nunez going back to the UK with Eddie Hearn saying, nah, bro, I can get a third belt fighting either Jazza Dickens or Anthony Kakachi, or Kakachi might drop it. So, yeah, Shockey, man. You don't got a lot of moves left, but I got a suggestion for you, Shockey, because you're so amazing. Come to Zuffa, bro. Zuffa will happily have you. All right.
Zuffa for president. Guys, listen, man. Significant fight's gonna have some weight there. I'm looking forward to see who wins it, and obviously what happens at the end of it. I love unifications. I hope that's what's next for whoever wins that to fight against Shockey Foster. But I also love the Raymond Ford fight. I think that's a great fight, being the connection with Shakur Stevenson. That'd be a great fight as well. On that undercard, we got Tamir Smalls, who's going to be fighting Abel Ramos. That's going to be a great fight. Tamir Smalls, on his last fight, we saw him just be a little bit, he got exposed a little bit in his last fight. And just on that pedigree, that professional level understanding, that maturity, he still showed prospect energy in that fight. I'm looking forward to see him close those holes up, be more disciplined, and I think he's going to get a stoppage in this one. I'm gonna be real with you. I think he stops Abel Ramos in this one. Also, we got Emiliano Vargas on the undercard as well. That's going to be great to see Emiliano step up his competition as he's starting to make more of a name for himself at 140 pounds. Keep in mind, of course, he was also involved in that halftime show with Xander Zayas, so he's got a certain amount of momentum he's building up for himself as well. So I'm going to be excited to see him make that argument even more of an argument about why he's one of the biggest up-and-coming 140-pounders in the game, and we'll see what that ends up being for him after he does what he does as well. And I'll be calling it all. I'll be calling it all on Saturday, man. Great conversation, man. Devin Haney, we're waiting on you guys. Bill Haney, we're waiting on you guys to see what you guys do. Ryan Garcia, Shakur, we're waiting on you guys to figure out if it really is going to be at 140 or if it's going to be a catch weight, or how you guys plan on approaching it. We're going to continue watching this Zuffa boxing invasion, World War boxing, political conflict world level conflict that's going on with now new addition Frank Warren with a $1 billion lawsuit, and what's going on in the UK, and we'll see what happens on the back end of Counterband and Regis Prograis and all those things that are going on, man. Just a lot of good conversation going on in the space. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, help the channel grow. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. We're about to wrap up.
Please check out again. We just started the series.
Right, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And all those real quick, hit the hype button, man. When you watch these videos, man, hype up the channel. For real.
I'm not even familiar with hype button. I heard about it. Hit that button too for sure. Yeah.
Once you see these replays, because they only show the hype button on the replays, hit the hype button, man. Any channel that you support or you go to, hit the hype button, support them. That helps the brand, and it tells you your algorithm and how you engage in the channel. So do that for the ATP, baby. That's what we do.
No doubt, man. Do that for sure. And like Angela was saying, yeah, we're definitely about to drop when you see this next video, episode 3 drop. We'll be talking. This one is going to be around this whole entire world boxing conflict, world war boxing conflict. We'll be talking about that. Check that channel out. Well, not the channel. Check that segment out.
It's under videos, guys. So just go under videos on the YouTube. Episode 1 bleeds into episode 2. Episode 2 was nice 25 minutes of just, again, we're speaking, when you guys listen to it, we're speaking to the mainstream casual sports fans who don't have the time to do what we're doing, which is giving you the details of what's really going on in boxing. So I think you guys will really enjoy episode 3.
Yep.
Yeah. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, just support the show, man. It's about that time. I appreciate you guys being up here, man. Until the next one, you guys already know what it is. It's that ATP Combat Media. It's your boy Ray Davis. Until the next one. At this point, we out.
Yeah.
Would make it this far, they hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitted for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all